when you are trying to establish yourself as a key player in industry, at the end of the day, and you're trying to work with large industry, they look for a platform, a system which is highly, meets the demands of their what the industry looks for. And what is that? That the system is completely reliable, it's completely secured, it can trust your system. And then in that kind of a sphere, you have a lot of challenges about how you design systems that grow to meet those kind of needs. And in that sense, just trying to get the system to meet those industry standard requirements is a huge task by itself. So you're essentially building a platform, and platform engineering by itself requires you to create a team, for the team to understand what it takes to build. And something like, how do you go about in a journey to build zero defect software? How do you make them fault tolerant? How do you make sure they are scalable in the future? And so on. And these were some of the key challenges. And at the same time, you're working in a market that is developing, you have competition. How do you develop at speed? Those are the fundamental things you look at when you're trying to come into an organization and trying to take it to the next, and the next levels. So, systems are developed by people. So the first thing you always start is by looking at the people. How are they working together? What's their mindset? And that mindset requires to be changed. Big things happen when mindsets get developed, not by making only things. This aspect of understanding is critical. Do you understand? Does the team have a common understanding of these parameters? Does it understand that if I'm going to release something, what goes into its all the attributes that make these things happen? And this all starts from what we call principles of design, principles of architecture, principles of how do I test my system, principles of how do we release our system, principles of how do we roll back systems, principles of what are quality gates, principles that go beyond and further. And one of the most fundamental example, if I can just take it, we are probably one of the companies that call our development model as instrumentation-based development model, which is essentially saying that if I develop a feature and release it, it will not be released until it has the instrumentation events that I can monitor by saying, how well is this service performing? Is the service being actually used? Who is using it? And so on. That is the fundamental ways how you improve your system. Because at the end of the day, systems will evolve. But you can only evolve them in the right directions if you're measuring these systems. And those are just a fundamental step towards building these kind of systems. Yeah, one of the key reasons why I joined ID5, because when you have a startup, you can mold it, right? Unlike an organization which has lived its past, it's difficult to do that. So when it comes to culture of the company, which is why people say it actually everything starts from the culture. But so the approach we have taken, especially in ID5 Tech, is a concept called round table organization model. Essentially, think of yourself in a restaurant where you are around a round table with no head of the table at that place. And all you're trying to do is understand and discuss how we're going to solve the problem. The problem that we have with respect to a product development, with respect to the technology, how we want to go about doing it, and where each member is equal. We want to make sure it gets a very high collaborative environment. If you look around in the industry, some of the key technology platform products that have been developed is based on highly collaborative teams. Open source technology is an example of that, right? So the idea is to promote that. And the same concept then is used from roundtable organizations to creating what we call smaller pods that are empowered to take decisions based on the common principles that have been set up by the roundtable organization. And this culture of being equal, being transparent, communicative driven, helps you to build a culture in an organization that does not worry about politics, does not worry about it's you or me, and so on. And that culture, I think, is a thing which we are trying to imbibe continuously and see how we're going to use that to drive and build our products. It's like asking yourself, which organization would you like to work in? And then I told you in my past, when I was telling my experience, the open culture that I experienced in one of the organizations, right? Where I could connect to anyone in the company, whether it was the CXOs or some of the other business leaders. And that sort of germinated the idea that you want to be in that kind of environment yourself, which fosters this kind of a highly open culture and an environment which does not inhibit you from thinking or sharing or building things. And also, if you look in the history, the reasons which I have always found that even organizations that have grown and potentially failed is because of the hierarchy that gets created, where you do not promote people who should be taking the right place, who have given their sweat and blood in building these companies. And so it is very important that you bring about that kind of environment for folks who are just coming out of the college or folks who have experienced it to come in this kind of environment and just have that freedom of thought that helps you to build the kind of products that we are looking to build. The first thing, hopefully you'll never think of leaving ID5, because you will not tend to get that kind of an experience anyway. But even if you did, for whatever reasons, you want to pursue some other career or education or whatever that is there, first of all, we are not here to stop you, right? We want to see you evolve. We want to see you grow. Now in technology, one of the most things which everybody fears is, do I get outdated? I can assure you with what I said before and with the kind of experience, and we have seen this with interns coming to our company, that when you have that kind of an experience with it, you are going to be market oriented. You are not going to feel outdated. In fact, you would have that core essence of software engineering in you, which you can take and go ahead and build systems for yourself. You may go and start up, you do your own startup, or whichever organization you get, you will feel that you have got and learned all the fundamentals that are required to build the kind of products that we have been talking about so far, which means that, hey, security is not alien to me. Building scalable systems is not there. This thinking of how to do product development approach. And then all of that with an environment in a culture which just says that go ahead and do your stuff, right? Do not be restricted by your so-called boss or by the kind of thought process that sort of says, should I not, is not there. So in simple terms, I think I would say the people who want to voice their opinion, that's what the ID5 is for. And those who want a boss, that is not ID5 for, in very, very simple terms. So if you want to come and say that, and we have seen that with the folks who have come and joined us, who have been very quiet initially, but start voicing their ideas, even concerns. We ask them to bring it up, right? They even share, are you feeling motivated or not motivated, right? And we understand this, these are the phases that go into the whole process. So we want them to come and share everything that they would feel comfortable with. And as I said, if you're looking to climb the traditional ladders, I'll become this, after 2 years I'll become this, after 5 years become this, well, that's not what ID5 is all about.